Good day. So if you've chosen to do front end with us, right, I want to show you a brief demonstration of what front end is all about, right? So if you've registered in our center for front end training, for those that have not registered, I just want to show you guys a brief demonstration of what front end is. So let's just get to it. Primarily, what front end is just converting a product design to a format where HTML, where a web browser can read it, right? Web browser like Opera or Chrome can read it. So this is just a demonstration of front end for our intending students and for our newly registered students. So this picture we have here has been loaded in the browser because the browser can load pictures but you can't interact with it. For instance, let me try to add some texts here, right? And I will, okay, sorry, let me get a live preview. So I'm using VS Code, which is a long story actually. And what else do we have there? We have an input and some message. So let me just make an input and make a placeholder of your name, and let me just close it off and break it. I'll just copy this and paste it here and paste this one, and let's do something like, let's get a button here and we call the button, sorry, submit. So yeah, we have something like this, right? And let's load it in our Opera browser. Let's just copy this so that our live server will load, live in the Opera browser. Whenever we load it, whenever I save the project. So yeah, whether you like it or not, what we have here is the same thing as what we have here. We have some text field here, we have some text, we have a button here, but in this case it doesn't react the same. So front end is actually when a product designer draws something, designs something, your work as a front end engineer or a developer is to convert this thing to something that the something like the browser can interact with in this manner, right? So we all know what the back end does. If we don't, because from the last time in class you guys mentioned that your back end is the back end functionality or whatever. So whatever happens here, this can still be a login form, right, that says email and password and we can have login here. Sorry, yeah. So this can be something like this, right? So the back end is what happens whenever you interact with this form here or this content or whatever. So without wasting much time, let us just dive into trying to recreate this thing to look like something that we can work with. So I'm going to remove all these things and try to give a good structure for the HTML, and I'm going to give this thing a title of contact us. Actually, this is not a tutorial, this is just a demonstration of front end, right? So don't expect much from this. I'm just demonstrating how I'm just demonstrating front end, right? So I might use shortcuts, I might use whatever. So I'm just demonstrating what front end is. So where do you start? We want to add an input tag there, but sorry, we have contact us heading here. So from my experience, I just try to use H2 and yeah, contact us. Let me change this, and the next thing we had there is just the input tags, and let's use a placeholder of your name, and a type of text. That's for the first one because your name is supposed to be a text. And to save time, I usually like to copy and paste. Excuse me. Yes, so we just name this email, and we can change the type to email. And the next one, okay, sorry, in actually in programming there are different ways that you can do something. I might put this thing in p tags, somebody else might decide to use inline, somebody might decide to just use css properties to style this and get what they want. So let me just get this text area going, and I'll drag those things inside there. So yes, so we have placeholder for this and this. Let's make a placeholder for this, and what does it say? Your message. Alright, so let's just drag this into these p tags to make our codes clean. So what we have there next is the button, right? If I'm not mistaken. Yes, the button. Yeah, we'll start by using the button tag. Back then I don't know what to use for button tags. So as far as web browser is concerned, this, where's the button? This thing we have here is the same thing with what you have here. Or if I just decide to add something like this, just to make it, just to complete it, right? And I add the background color of, I think I listed the, let me just go to, are those two still there? Yes, so let me try this lighter gray, because when I designed that stuff in Figma, I think I brought out some colors, I copied out some colors. Let me see what's this going to show us. Excuse me, no, I didn't mean to put this in here. Actually, I think I meant to put it here. I'm making a mistake somewhere. Am I? Excusez-moi. Okay. So far as this web browser is concerned, what we have here is the same thing as what we have here. Just a matter of styling, right? So we're just going to style this thing and let's get going. So I'm just going to remove this style because I want to give a neat project. So let me just create a style tag where I can put some CSS style for this. So basically based on HTML standards, we're actually based on front end whatever front end principles, we just need two things like this. For front end, actually we just need scripts, we need CSS and JavaScript, right? To get this thing going, to get this web page, to get this, where is the color? Okay, I removed it. To get this thing going to something like this, you just need to use CSS and JavaScript. But in this case, we will not use JavaScript. Actually, we're just going to use CSS to work on this. Actually, in class, we're going to do some things in JavaScript, so which kind of makes the web browser more lively than it will be when using CSS. So without further ado, let's just we have the style here, right? So we can just come and call up this container class and give it the background color, right? That same background color what do we have in the background color here? Yeah, so this is the background color, and we can come and add IDs to these inputs, right? Although we can target the input stuff, but let's just use IDs for them. Let's say this one is ID your name, or let's just call it name to make it short. It's always wise to use shorter stuff, so we give this one an ID of email. We give this one an ID of, please don't be confused, like I told you, this is just a demonstration. I'm not doing coding tutorial here. I'm just trying to demonstrate to some people what front end is. So these are IDs that are given to this thing, so I can call up the IDs now, which is of course different from the this is of course different from class, and they're different. They have their own individual differences. And message. All right, so what we have here, name, right? What am I going to style? How am I going to style this name? Well, I can start with adding some width and adding some padding and some margin if necessary. So removing the border, adding some border. So let's just start with width and see what we get to. Let's start with the width of 350 pixels. I've told you guys what pixels is in the class before. We've talked about pixels a lot, and when we're doing graphics, when we're doing demonstration in graphics, we've talked so much about pixels, right? So I'm adding all these things because I have an idea how this thing looks. Sorry. Oh, sorry. So I don't think it looks kind of the same, but we're just going to work on it more to get what we want. So border style, right? That thing doesn't have a border, so let's remove the border. So what I'm saying here is too small. Let's add a padding of 10 pixels, and okay, that should be big. And we've not added the border radius because that's in the edges are kind of curved, so that looks something like that. Okay, actually let me make this thing bigger. Let me get this width to something bigger, like 500 pixels here. So I'm going to examine this, and before, wow, what's going on? All right, before I finish, I'm going to copy these styles, right, and use them for the other elements that we'll have here, so that they look alike. So as you can see, we have something quite similar to this. So just to make this design a bit more pleasant, let's try to move this container to the center. So I'm going to just guess margin. I'm going to add some margin to add the right margin to it and try to play around with it. Let's say add a margin of 200 pixels on the top, and I add margin of 250 on the right, add the 0 on the bottom, and add another 250 on the left. Let us see how this looks. Refresh. What's wrong with you? Yeah, let's add some padding to it first, see how the thing comes out. Well, that's a bit too much. Let's try to cut down some things here, and let us try to cut this down to 100. Am I correct? Let's leave it at 350 and make this one 352. I don't even know why I just scatter these things like this, but let's try this thing. Oh, I mistakenly opened Firefox there, and it's updating now. Oh my god. So yes, I think we have something that kind of looks like this, but not actually the same. So what is left for us is to tie this button to look somewhat like this, or like this button here, and it's just a piece of cake. Actually, that's the essence of this. It's just a demonstration. But actually, front end can be more challenging than this. But I don't want to discourage you guys. So I'm going to call up the button, since this that button is the only button we have here. So let's give it a background color. Background color of, do I have blue here? Alright, I have blue here. So actually I made that Canva design as a Canva. I made that Figma design, and I copied some colors that I could come up with. So what's wrong with you? Yeah, that's the background color, right? Let's make sure the color is the color allows us to see the content. We could use hex as this, but let's just focus on calling it white. Actually, I think that was supposed to be ff, and we move the borders. Border as none. And yes, let me just show you guys what we've been doing so far. So we've added this. Are we? Is very okay. We've made the button blue. We made the button color text color white. So what we need to do now is to add a padding to make it bigger. So we're going to add a padding of 15, or let's start with 10 pixels and see how it looks. Okay, 10 is too small. Let's go back to that 15 I wanted to say before. And we make a radius of 5 pixels, border radius of 5 px, and yeah, I think we have something similar to this. Like, it's not going to be exactly with what we have here because we don't have that time. I'm just trying to get something done. So basically we have completed this project actually, right? So but you can see this looks, the font here, this placeholder doesn't look kind of, it doesn't look good enough. Right, let me try something. Okay, actually I was trying something then, don't mind what I did. So yes, that should be it. But let's try to call up some font. Let's just try to give this make this a bit more elegant. Let's go to fonts.google.com and try to get some things going. Where you are, I would like to use a font that is kind of a font that is that speaks for itself. Let's use Ubuntu, and yeah, So we can actually select the font weight that we want to use here, but let's just save time and just get fonts. What other font do we have here? Okay, I think I used this thing for a different stuff before. Let's remove the Roboto and get the embed code of this Ubuntu, and from this instruction it says we should place this thing inside the head element of our HTML. So I want to copy this thing and paste it inside this head. For sure, just for in case you want to, you don't want to confuse yourself, you can come and do something like this. Excuse me, and say, right, so that you know where you pasted the Google fonts, and that should be it. So that's actually a kind of a good way to do it, so you wouldn't know, you won't get confused. So you know that from here to here is where you linked up the Google fonts, right? So the next thing we need to do is just to call up the fonts, and yeah, let me just call up this font here. I think I should just copy all these things and paste it just to save myself energy of typing. And as you can see, we've pasted that font, but it's not appearing. Let me just close this out. It's not coming out here. No matter how much we refresh it, it's still showing the default browser font. So we're just going to, let me just use the whole body. Let me target the whole body, right? The whole body of the HTML document, and get the font. I think I copied everything right here. Get the font to be Ubuntu, and check it out. We have something that looks better here. So can this work with the whole HTML? Let me check something. Actually, I've not thought of doing this before. So it doesn't work that way. Yep. Nope. Alright. It's crazy. I've not thought of doing that ever once, except now. So now that we have that, I don't know, this message box text area is kind of stubborn, or refresh man is always kind of stubborn. So just have to go into this, and I think this has to do with probably some specificity issues with CSS, right? So there are a lot of things that in CSS that we'll have to discuss, but we're not talking about now, which probably has to do with hierarchy or stuff like that. So did the font weight, did it actually, did we select that? I don't know if we did that. So obviously we didn't. So let's say we just do something like this. Is it going to reflect? Actually, right now I'm just playing around with all this stuff, but I don't think we have that time to play around with this. Let's just let me just try something, one last thing, and okay, bold. This is bold, right? So actually, let's just leave all these things, and we can see that our contact us is looking kind of almost the same thing as this. So we're not going to waste much time, but what the last thing we need to do here is just to work on this button, which does nothing when you click it, right? So what we can do here is very easy. We can call up, okay, we've cut the button already and we've styled it, so we can just come and add the hover function to it, and yes. So what we need to do is just to, when you hover over the button, I usually like to go with the existing color and I make it darker. That's based on my own design. People might prefer something different, and let's look at what this one does actually before going to the next one. See that when we hover over the button, it changes to show that it's now lively, right? I actually can have these effects here, but let's just stick to this, and it's kind of lively. And we'll just go back, and to finish up the liveliness, let's add a cursor. Alright, already done it for me. VS Code of pointer, right? So this thing turns to a hand trying to click on something. So when we click on it, nothing really happens. It's just as if we are clicking on something that is not active or not alive. So what can we do is just to go ahead and we can get another CSS property and call up active, and what I want to do here is just to change the color to something lighter. Alright, so when you click on it, you get a lighter color. That's just it. So what do we have here? We click on this to get something lighter, right? So the button is kind of active now. So there are a lot of things we can do here. For instance, we can come to this contact us, right? I don't think I've called it up, but we have an h2 element there, and which we're not using anywhere else. I think we can just come and say h2. We can add padding to the bottom, and we can say 20 pixels. All right, let's see how much effect that gave. Did the pattern work? All right, so we are kind of stretched this thing out from here, so we can play around with this thing further if we so desire. So but for now, let's end there, because I didn't take note of the font family I used when I was getting this done in Figma, right? You can notice that this button is not aligned well with these text fields, but here it is kind of aligned perfectly with them. So like I told you, this is just a demonstration, right? In the real sense, you might want to add a pattern to the left of this button to get that kind of effect. Right, if this was a real, if this yeah, let me not add that pattern. Actually, let me not leave this pattern like this. I think that should be margin, right? Let me see, margin left. Let me check something. Yeah, so I think we have a button that has moved a bit, somehow further from this, which has affected this whole stuff. So I don't have the energy to start trying to fix that. Let me just leave everything the way it is. So actually the essence of front end is just to make the whole design look something closer to what is going on. What's up? Well, let's not bother ourselves about that, whatever happened there. That's a comment to with programming. You just come and see what you didn't expect to see, and I don't have time to start debugging. So for now, that is just basic front end converting stuff to readable HTML formats. Sorry, let me remove this thing. I think this is what is causing that whole issue. Was it the one? No. So how come? Do I need to start adding the widths to here, to this thing? Okay, I don't want to start working on all these things now. We've come to the end of the demonstration actually. So okay, that is just a demonstration of what front end is, right? It's basically converting product designs to formats which the web browser can can understand, right? So if you've enrolled with recently enrolled to do front end with us, or you are confused, right, you don't know which course to go to, that is just a demonstration of what front end is. There's no big deal there. So if you have any questions, you can leave it in the comment section. If not, you can reach out to me. Always reach out. You can come to the center and ask questions. We have started our summer class, right? So thank you very much, and please share this video if you have someone that you feel that can benefit from this exercise you're doing. Thank you very much.